time when I was alone, nowhere to go and no place to call home.
Hi there, Indigo Red Soldier coming to you live. So, I hope you've been enjoying my video so far. I know I've been talking a lot about spirituality and things that somewhat don't make sense to a lot of people still, and I understand if you don't, it doesn't make sense yet, and you're just not there yet, or maybe you don't need to be there. You don't need to understand everything everyone's saying. It's something that I've come to learn. In fact, you don't need to listen to everything everyone's saying ever. You just have to listen to yourself. So with that said, I want to kind of like try and move away a little from spirituality, and it's not because I don't want to talk about it anymore. I do. I just realizing now that I still need to develop uh, my own self, my own belief system. Not so much my own belief system, my own language, my own way of expressing my spirituality out. But up to now, like the couple of videos that I have has helped me get it out there, has helped me understand it. It's I find it very different between thinking it in here and hearing it from here. So it's kind of therapy. It's a kind of therapy to like be self-confident about what I'm saying, what I'm thinking, those things that I find very good, very interesting, and yet nobody else knows about. So actually, a lot of people do know about it. I just can't talk about it with anyone in person right now. So yeah, this is my way of getting it out there. But moving away from the spiritual aspect of evolution and going into the physical aspect of it. Now, I could be talking bodies, but I really don't know if we're gonna see much about physical change in our bodies. However, what I do think we're gonna see is a lot of physical changes in the way we live our lives, in the way we build our communities, our cities and towns and societies. And that's the physical aspect that I want to talk about right now. And I want to kick it off with the little movement that's going on, and that's called the tiny house movement. And it's a pretty much where you take a travel trailer, and you build a house on it. You put the foundation, you put the walls, and you put a roof, and you make it to what you want. They actually call them custom built travel trailers, but it's called the tiny house movement for short. And I actually find it really cool, very very interesting, because you have a house for one person, custom built. Like, they're all beautiful, they're all creative, and in a way like the person they are, like the person that's living in there. So that's cool to see. But another cool thing to see is just how how people are beginning to learn that they don't need all the space that they were once led to believe. I mean, you don't need a mansion to live a happy life. You just need a place to sleep in and to feel comfortable at, I think. I mean, then again, you could be like a very, very sensitive, very delicate person. I don't know, and maybe you could use a mansion. So don't let me tell you otherwise. Still, but still, it's nice to know that people are going with less and still feel fulfilled. Because in the end, that means that people are gonna you still gonna have the people that are alive right now, or probably 7 million in like 100 years, 7 billion I mean. And instead of forests being gone, maybe the forest will still be there because we stop building big houses, stop wasting material on things that didn't need to be wasted on. In fact, I actually saw one built for like $420 or something like that, with recycled materials, and that's perfect. You did what you could to have as little impact on planet Earth, and I give kudos to those guys. But, and this is where I'm going with this, when you have like a whole bunch of people starting to do something, and the reason this came up was because of the 2008 housing crisis, the when the housing market bubble popped, And a lot of millennials kind of lost their chance at becoming homeowners, but they still want to become homeowners, and they're not letting the the reality of the place that we live in get in the way. They're going out there and building their houses themselves, and that's very reminiscent of what olden time people did too. So that's cool too. But another thing that I wanted to talk about, and it's like I saw this popping up, communal tiny house settlements, and then I'm like, so you have a community, you have people that are very simple minded and want like conservation and shit. How about if you add a hemp farm there? A hemp like marijuana plants, but not for getting high purposes. No, I'm talking a hemp farm to create fibers, to create building materials. You would have like I I'm not sure of what the actual science or what the yield results are for harvesting hemp for construction materials, but supposedly it's good. You could actually have that community become the first ever tiny house makers and start spreading it. And if not, like selling the houses out to people, instead bringing people into their settlement, teaching them the fundamentals about how to grow hemp, how to process it into building material, and how to build houses and do it all in sustainable fashion. I mean, that's one small way that we could have a big impact on the world. Now, I know still hemp farming is deemed illegal by the federal government, and I saw a video about how I believe it's Kentucky farmers are starting to stop growing tobacco and starting to grow hemp because, frankly, tobacco isn't that profitable anymore. But hemp is becoming to be, well, hemp is different because hemp isn't grown in the country for commercial purposes at all. All the hemp that we get is imported from other countries. And it's like what, a $500 billion industry that we're not taking a part of because our laws aren't allowing us to do. And yet there's so much we can get out of this simple plant. I mean, I find the whole aspect of building materials out of hemp to be its biggest selling point. Not only because you stop deforestation, but you also have sustainable farming, sustainable building materials. And that's where we need to start heading, sustainability. Now, with that said, I know that this is going to take a long time for people to get on board with. And if you already have a house, it's very unlikely that you will want a tiny house. But another reason why I want to put this out there is because there's so much homelessness out in the world right now. And the only reason why it's like that is because people don't have enough resources to pull together. You have one person living in a mansion and one person living out on the streets, and one person living in a mansion and 10 people living out in the streets, instead of having 10 people living in a mansion and one person out on the streets. It doesn't work out. But anyways, I'm always saying I can focus on how negative the world is, but in the end that's not going to do anyone any good. Pointing it out, I don't know if that's doing any good either. But I also gotta be honest with myself, and I try and explore both sides of the coin as what's called as unbiased as possible. Because in the end, I'm just a person who's experiencing all this, and even though I can make a little change, the change is for myself. It's not for anyone else. So with that said, it's like I'll come back to the spiritual aspect, but right now it's still a physical test, physical journey for us, and I'll gonna keep talking about it. Now I want to wrap this video up with one more thing, and that's explaining why YouTube. Now, I wanted to do this whole video blog thing since last year. I wanted to start last New Year, but instead I ended up making probably like 6 videos, 6 of these blog videos, and I wasn't comfortable with it. I wasn't comfortable with what I was saying and how I was portraying myself. Not to mention, I was taking a lot of time to try and get my whole setup going. You know, like setting up lights, mics, and camera, and like making sure everything looked good. Ended up spending more time getting ready for it than I actually did making it. And that's why probably I didn't like the results of it. I was too concerned with the appearance of it and not concerned with the content. So, now I have a couple of videos under my belt and I've been doing that one every day. And at first, yeah, it became like, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this, I don't feel comfortable. But now I'm starting to feel comfortable, and it's really a matter of practice and putting the time in. So if you want to do a YouTube channel and you want to talk about whatever you want to talk about, I'm telling you, just do it. Don't worry about how good it's going to be right away, because odds are it won't be. Thing is, it doesn't have to be. You just have to like what you're doing, and once you start doing that, it will get better eventually. So with that said, this Indigo Red Soldier telling you to love everybody you can. If you're not doing what you love, do something. I'll see you again tomorrow. Namaste.
There was a time when I was alone, nowhere to go and no place to call home.